So we're doing part 3 of the alternate future world. The year is now 2038, and we'll be going even further into the future of the alternate history of the world. No, not alternate history, alternate future of the world. The DRC, after a decade of development, with help from the East African Union, finally joined the Union as the next country. The East African Union is now changed to the United States of Africa, a country that is promising in the future to unite African peoples under one country. As well. Well, the DRC is still the poorest state, second to Burundi. But we're going to be pointing out the states as well, as they might secede. You never know in the future. So, we'll be using a gray line to differentiate the states as well, as it's going to be very similar to the United States, where you have states that are basically divided. We're not going to get the exact borders this here, but that's essentially all of the states of this country. It'll be very similar to the United States as well, and yeah. Well, we don't have the U.S. states stated in, so we're not going to have the African states stated in. Next is Italy. The new Italian government wants to restore the Roman Empire, and restore Mussolini's failed vision. Italy now invades the country of Slovenia and Croatia. Both countries try to fight back, and do take advantage of the fact that Italians still have a very high AIDS. Italy is one of the few countries that have done pretty good job at raising the birth rates, but Italy still doesn't want us to expend so many soldiers, because Italy is still a very, very old country in terms of aged people. Italy will annex coastal areas from Slovenia and Croatia, leaving both Slovenia and Croatia landlocked nations. Also, Bosnia also loses its its small coast to Italy as well, in a deal called the Treaty of whatever that place is called, leaving these three countries now landlocked due to Italy. The remaining EU states put sanctions on Italy. Meanwhile, Italy starts to grow closer to ties with Russia and China as well. The Canadian government is basically eyeing the country to put on the ideological side. Canada only has one ally, and that's Cuba. They could, of course, try to align with Russia and China, but those countries are no longer communist. Russia is Russia and China have basically brought back the monarchy, with Vladimir Putin practically just making his successor the Tsar of Russia, and the Emperor of China being declared by Xi Jinping as the successor, and of course Kim Jong-un's son declaring himself the Emperor of Korea. So China needs to get a new country on the side. But there is a pretty close election in Spain. The current political party is the conservative Vox coalition, and there's of course the liberal coalition, but there's a new political party called the Communist Party of Spain. The Communist Party win around 42% of the votes, shocking the world. The liberals losing the popularity, lose around 70%. The liberal coalition only gets around 17% of the vote. This shocks the world and causes a civil war. Spain to split into two nations. Since afraid of losing another member, but the remaining EU nations declare war against the communists. The communists are put back until Canadian and Cuban support arrives. Both Canadian and Cuban support arrives as well, giving an advantage in the fields to Spain. The U.S. now declares how the U.S. and Brazil now start to help Spain, and Portugal practically just joins on the war on the side of the democratic re-elected government. Both sides basically go into a stalemate and starts basically a new war between Canada and the U.S. and Europe. North Spain, which is the Communist Republic of Spain, basically creates its own country. South Spain is now a separate country as well, which includes most of Andalusia, basically, and some lesser populated areas of Spain, and areas bordering Portugal, which was decided upon the peace deal as well. Catalonia will also be declared a free buffer state between France and this new Communist Republic of Spain, as Catalonia has been wanting to get its independence for a long time, and now finally does. The Canaries also gained their independence. The Canaries are down here. These islands also gained their independence. I actually do not know the names, so I think it's the Balearic Islands. The Canaries are down here, like by Morocco. Yeah, the Canaries are the ones by Morocco. The Canaries stay with Spain, but the Balearic Islands become in with Catalonia as one country. Many people are now scared of the prospect of a World War III happening. Meanwhile, Canada has been sanctioned officially by the United States alongside with the EU. Meanwhile, the Canadians asked Vietnam to join, and Vietnam says no. Which Vietnam and Laos are the two last communist countries besides them left, and they both say no. They want to stay away from Canada's extreme communism. Canada's communism becomes so bad as a point as it becomes just as bad as it was with the North Korean regime. But instead of it, being where you can't do anything, it's basically you can't criticize the woke of the government as well. You're not. Hundreds of thousands of Canadians do flee to the U.S., but the new Canadian government does massive border security now with the U.S., which causes the USA and Mexico to be concerned. They declare war on Canada to put an end to this folly. Here. Brazil also joins in the war, but we're not going to go down and highlight Brazil. This part of Toronto, Ontario is captured alongside this area here. It enters winter, but the U.S. has been prepared for winter, as the U.S. had troops stationed in Alaska. The advances go pretty slowly because it was being winter, and it being a relatively cold year in 2040. Becoming one of the coldest winter since 2019. The fight continues as well, and Canada basically sues for peace. Canada creates a demilitarized zone with America. Go. 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 Creating a massive barrier, which means anyone who has moved from Canada, for example, many famous people have moved from Canada to LA and stuff, well, they're not allowed to see their family anymore because of North Korea's extreme communism. So, and Justin Trudeau's son is even worse than Justin Trudeau himself. Next is Afghanistan. Afghanistan's turbulent government has been overthrown. The Taliban has been overthrown by a new radical government. This government aims to give Afghanistan the glory it deserves. But what next? Afghanistan decides to invade the isolated regime of Turkmenistan. Due to Afghanistan birth rates being so high still, Afghanistan has way more people and soldiers than Turkmenistan, despite Turkmenistan being way more developed. Turkmenistan is surprised by the invasion, but is halted immediately. It becomes a massive stalemate. Turkmenistan calls for help from Pakistan and Iran. Both countries decide to invade Afghanistan. They cannot defeat the combined forces of both Iran and Pakistan. And Afghanistan is defeated. A new Afghanistan government has been put in place that is kind of more loyal to these two countries here. Afghanistan as basically is now basically a monarchy. That's what they have imposed. Or basically a similar government, basically, a similar government to like Saudi Arabia or the Arab Gulf states or Iran. Indonesia facing turmoil over climate change faces a massive civil unrest. These two islands declare independence from. It first starts off with West Papua declaring independence from the rest of Indonesia. So, hoping to unify with the rest of Papua. Then these two islands also secede. A long and bloody war occurs. Malaysia also seeks to gain more from Borneo, so Malaysia also enters the war against Indonesia. Malaysia starts to gain some land from Borneo, which is mostly just very unpopulated areas. Meanwhile, Indonesia continues to invade parts of Borneo. It seems that Bornean independence is very, very unlikely at this point, as Borneo is basically just divided in half even worse as well. Indonesia also takes back parts of Sumatra, but is unable to go any further. They're unable to take out Papua New Guinea as well. And the war has been settled. Guinea will finally unite into one country. And the country will just be called New Guinea, so they don't confuse themselves with the African country. 3. The country will just be called Papua New Guinea. It'll just be using the same name as well. Also, Bougainville is not a part of Papua New Guinea anymore. But Borneo is now just split in half, and parts of Sumatra does gain independence as an independent Islamic Sultanate as well. Tensions in South America has been rising for a while now. Brazil is not going to do anything, but Argentina, and Chile and Bolivia and Peru have been having some tensions for a while. These tensions have been over the northern border. Yeah. Argentina's right-wing government is upset and scared over immigration from Bolivia and Chile. And starts similar to the US and Mexico in the 2020s. There has been massive tension towards border crossings from Bolivia and Chile, and also all the way from Peru, and heck, even people from Brazil, and probably even people from America, Canada, France, or the new instability in Indonesia. So same thing with Europe as well, and of course the instability in Spain. Argentina had it fed up with the Americans and struck a massive border wall between all three countries. This causes these countries to be upset with the country, and formally declares war against Argentina. No. This backfires as Argentina still has more population than Chile and Bolivia. Causing Chile to because of how Chile is, Chile loses pretty quickly. They will start to invade Bolivia as well, and Bolivia has been pushed back, almost. Both countries basically, all four countries signed white peace, and realized it was basically pointless to cause an entire war over a border crisis. Nicaragua elects a communist government and formally becomes a part of Canada's sphere of influence. Czechoslovakia is now reformed as a country. That's all. The Ukrainian rump state joins the Russian alliance as well. The Ukrainian rump state does ask for more land from Russia. They purchase a huge chunk of land from Russia in a deal. We basically just giving them back the rest of the Ukrainian majority lands. The Ukrainian state has been reestablished as well, but will still be under the watchful eyes of Moscow. Tensions between the Neo-Ottoman Empire and the Middle East has been growing, but the Neo-Ottoman Empire has turned its attention elsewhere. Well, the Balkans. They know they can't stand a chance against Pakistan, Iran, and Saudi Arabia and Egypt. The country doesn't have the population to do it as well. So, they're turning to the Balkans. The Ottomans start the Fourth Balkan War. All the Balkan states declare war on the Ottomans for declaring war on Thrace and Greece, as they promised they wouldn't attack these countries. This is probably the most brutal war in Europe since the war in Ukraine. The Ottomans, and of course the Civil War in Spain, the Second Spanish Civil War. The Ottomans start to defeat Greece relatively quickly, but start to have a hard line against the European states as well. The Ottoman Empire also wraps itself around Bulgaria and Romania. And does capture Kosovo. The Ottomans are satisfied with this war as they only wanted lands up towards here. So that means all Greece will be erased, all Bulgaria, all of Thrace will be reclaimed by the Ottomans, Macedonia will be reclaimed, Albania will be reclaimed, and Montenegro will be reclaimed by the Ottomans, and half of Serbia, which includes Kosovo. The fear that this is causing in Europe causes a Balkan coalition to form. The Balkans would never want to work together, but this is a matter of life or death. They create a defense pact against the Ottomans, basically creating a defense pact against them. They refused to add Italy to the alliance, as Italy basically just invaded the Balkans for no reason, thus to grab the coastline away. Germany and Austria in the year 2046 decided to create a treaty to unify with each other. This is basically just the German-Austrian Cooperation Pact. Since both countries were former EU members, they also applied to rejoin the government, the Western government, as well. As the force turned to the right did cause some relations, but they elected a more liberal government. Austria did too, which causes both countries to join. Switzerland did not join as they wanted to stay neutral. The right-wing Polish government has been isolated, essentially. Poland has had a right-wing government and also sometimes goes to a center-left government every once in a while with a Donald Tusk figure, but he never gets anything done. But a Polish nationalist party has been elected into power and demands Russia to give them Kaliningrad. Russia, of course, denies it, so Poland decides to declare war on Russia. I don't know what Poland is going to achieve out of this, but they're going to make a massive mistake. The EU and the 20 years ago, they warned that Russia would invade Poland, and that was like the next step. But the nationalists far away. Basically, it's kind of like the whole thing with the Paraguay in the 1800s. The leader of Poland is so insane, he also declares war on Germany to get revenge on Germany, causing France and the UK to get at war, along with the Roman countries and Denmark and Lithuania and the Baltic states as well. Here. Basically what happened, like how it happened in the free war, that war against Paraguay, Poland is basically destroyed, and the dictator of Poland basically fights until his last breath as well. And of course the leader of Poland basically is gone. A new Polish government was elected and was not a crazy Polish nationalist that wanted to get revenge against Germany and Russia all the time. Poland's borders have been kept intact, but this foolish choice did cause Poland to lose some land to Russia and lose some land to Germany as a small little occupation, but they kept Poland's borders. The same because Poland is still mostly Polish. So, nothing to do about that. Poland will now be created as a buffer state between the Russian side and the German side. Also, Czechoslovakia will be another buffer state as well. Both the West and the East agree on this as well. And also, the Baltic states will still stay on the side of the Western countries, but Poland will be forced to become a Switzerland, essentially, of Eastern Europe. So that's what happened to Poland. Kind of like how Turkmenistan is a buffer state between the Middle Eastern Alliance and Russia, or these areas out. Too. Canada sees as an opportunity to get another communist country on the side. This time, it is because in the country of Liberia, they elected a communist government. Or it was a coup d'etat created by Canada. So basically, Canada has gained a fourth ally. Even though Liberia isn't the strongest country in the world, they create a co-protectorate of meeting of neo-Marxist nations. Basically creating an alliance of neo-Marxist / neo-communist nations. Here. The country of Ivory Coast declares war on Burkina Faso. The tensions have been rising for a while, and the Burkina Faso state has basically was accused of assassinating a very high official. The state of Burkina Faso refuses to say anything about it, but the president of the Ivory Coast is angry at the dictator of Burkina Faso and starts to invade Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso is poor and also has less economy because it's a landlocked country. So Burkina Faso is easily invaded and defeated as well. Also, the Niger state also invades Burkina Faso here, and Burkina Faso is now completely destroyed. As a result of this war, Ivory Coast or Cote d'Ivoire will gain some land out of this as well, and Niger will also gain some land out of this, expanding its population and land. Niger is also the fastest growing country in the world, and people start to leave the country for more areas here. Also, humanity finally landed on Mars, which marks a huge achievement in humanity. The year is 2050, so the borders have changed a lot in this alternate future of the world. The only thing that deters World War III now are nuclear weapons. Pens. As well. But the world has become more and more tense over the past couple of decades. Also, there's no more alliance down here because of one whole country. Here. Also, Sudan, as of 2050, Sudan has finally resolved the border dispute with Egypt, giving Egypt its borders and finally resolving the border disputes with Egypt. And that's it about this world so far. What will happen next episode? Will there be World War III as well? Yeah. I'm going to have to actually seriously come up with some ideas because we're running out of things to do besides World War III. So that's about this video here. What do you think about this video here? Goodbye.